An examination of the basics. Upon connecting with the client user, you, the server user, will be met with a control panel allowing you to manipulate your co-player's environment. You will find that you are allowed to deploy 4 items at no expense. 3 of these are rather large machines, and 1 is a punch card. It's quite possible that you have already deployed some of these items before reading this. If that is the case, and you have activated the machine called the Prankster such that it displays a countdown, you must proceed to section A100 of this walkthrough immediately. The life of the client user depends on it, and if your co-player has activated this device in your environment too, then yours does as well. But if not, please refrain from doing anything with the Prankster aside from merely deploying it. This will buy us some time to think things through properly, and to go over the basics of the game before you find your soft, easily punctured head in the jaws of the lion. As mentioned, there are 4 items to consider, each playing a role in the process, which appears to have a singular purpose: to manufacture objects out of thin air. The designers of the game, judging by the language used, regard this process as a sort of alchemy. This may allude to complexities in the production process yet to present themselves. But for now, the variety of objects you are able to create remains quite limited. The items in question are the Prankster, again, tread lightly with this one, the totem lathe, the alchemitor, and the pre-punched card. I will describe how these devices work in conjunction with each other, and I will use the analogy of having a key made at a hardware store to help you understand. First, deploy all of these objects in convenient proximity to each other. Be sure not to block doors or pathways with them. You can always revise the dimensions of the rooms to make space for them, but I'd advise against this. Or even experimenting with the function. Doing so comes at the expense of build grist, a commodity which appears to be at a premium at the onset, and one you'd be best advised to save for later. The Prankster. Removing the lid signals the moment your life becomes a great, whirling, batshit pandemonium, somewhat resembling the chaos of an especially ethnic wedding. Somewhere, a soused uncle deliberately shatters china on the floor. Muddy livestock is decorated and then lost track of. The question, whose mule is this, at times can be heard over the din. This is now your reality. But aside from that, it marks the beginning of the process I'm about to describe. The countdown begins, yes. Also, an entity called the Kernel Sprite is released. But neither of these things are all that relevant to this process, to my knowledge. More on these things later. What is relevant is the unlidded Prankster's ability to dispense Kruxite dowels. It will dispense at least 1, though I suspect it is capable of producing more, given parameters I'm not yet familiar with. In my key-making analogy, these dowels represent the uncarved pieces of metal which the hardware store employee retrieves from a drawer or a rack, and sets about carving into a key. The 2 following items are needed to do the carving. The pre-punched card. It is a simple Siladex card containing an item. There is evidence to suggest the specific item it contains is variable from session to session. The card I deployed contains a blue apple. Yours may be different. It shouldn't matter, hopefully. Additionally, the card, as you may guess, is punched, like the ones used with antique computing systems. The pattern of holes comprises data, which I believe corresponds to the instructions for creating the item the card contains. That it is pre-punched suggests that there is a way to punch an unpunched card, possibly imprinting it with the data for the item it contains, though no mechanism for this has presented itself yet. But the data on the card cannot be used to create this item directly. There is a middleman. That middleman is the totem lathe. The totem lathe. This is essentially the key carving machine. It will carve into your Kruxite dowel a pattern of grooves and contours, the sort which makes a key unique. The instructions for this pattern are supplied by the punch card, which is inserted into the lathe pre-activation to configure its chisels. Once the dowel is carved, you have a totem serving as your key, which can then be used to unlock the card item through the alchemitor. But at this point, I will diverge from my key-making analogy and switch to a barcode analogy, which is not a terribly strenuous leap to make since the concepts of a key and a barcode are essentially the same, one being a unique pattern of grooves, the other of varying black lines. The alchemitor. If you place a Kruxite dowel, Carved or uncarved, on the alchemister's small pedestal, its robotic arm will scan the contours with a laser. Hence, the barcode analogy. This is the machine's way of reading the data originally imprinted from the card and transforming that data into a physical object. Though typically, this is not done without expense, I believe. An uncarved dowel results in the creation of a perfectly generic object, which is a seemingly useless green cube. It costs 2 units of build grist to make, and I do not advise you to waste resources on it. There appears to be many other varieties of grist, ostensibly used in combinations to create different sorts of items, which possibly offers some insight into the game's use of the term alchemy. But, quite conveniently, there is an exception to this. Creating the item on the pre-punched card costs nothing. This is good, because creating this item turns out to be essential. Now that you know this, you can in your own time begin the process. Once you initiate it, naturally there is no going back, so best to be prepared. But you probably shouldn't drag your feet too long. As I mentioned earlier, this is your only means of escape. When you're ready, be prepared to follow the steps in the next section swiftly. So your quick extruder is ticking. Do this to live.
In the distance, meteorites fall with even greater frequency. The fire in the forest burns so hot, not even the rain is putting it out. You check your laptop battery and find that it is alright for now, but it won't be for long. If the power in the house doesn't come back on, you can think of one last resort. The small backup generator stored behind the mausoleum. Rose then attempts to prototype the sprite with the Betty Crocker box.
What? Oh man, you're gonna use that? That sucks, what a stupid idea.
We have to hurry along. I'm running low on battery power.
The cake mix, it's so dumb.
I doubt it matters. We might as well just use any old crap lying around.
Fine, I guess.
The sprite is playing hard to get. You guess that is what you get for originally prototyping it with something that engenders mischief and pranksterism.
Do the pot of the vegetable instead. It looks delicious.
Pipe down, you. This is Rose's decision, not yours. Rose then attempts to prototype the sprite with the Sassacre text.
Oh yes! Sweet! Now we're talking.
See if you can distract it. I'll try to sneak up on it.
The sprite finds the distracting manner in which you flail about to be rather distracting. The pesky sprite eludes you again. Not even the great Colonel himself can outfox it. In narrowly missing your attempt to create the Colonel sprite, you drop the massive tome. The entire house rattles with the astonishing girth of the book. In the other room, Nana's ashes dump onto the sprite, which it is caught unawares by the dousing.
Spectacular incident.
You find the sacred urn toppled again, and this time you are quite sure that it wasn't your fault. The sprite is nowhere to be found.
Oh man, where'd it go?
I can't find it anywhere in the house. No time to worry about it. The next thing we should do is get your server copy of the game from the car. You need to connect to my client, so I can repeat your steps and presumably join you, wherever you are. We should do this quickly before my house burns down.
Wait, there's a fire?
There will be soon.
Oh jeez. So move this thing already.
It looks like it requires a lot of grist to move. I don't have enough to relocate the door either.
How much do you have?
0?
Oh. I thought about jumping into the car from the ledge earlier, but that sounds really dangerous.
I have a better idea. Meet me upstairs?
Do again as Purpleword says.
You are about to head upstairs, but you thought you heard something behind you. It was faint, but you could swear you could hear it was a small, light-hearted chuckle, along the lines of a spirited, "Hoo hoo hoo!"
Ignore this woman's antics.
You're not sure if you even saw a woman, let alone any of her hypothetical antics, but whatever it was that you might have caught a glimpse of, it sure gave you the willies. You head upstairs on your way to the balcony. Your PDA is acting up again.
Hey bro, check it out, I'm working on some new rhymes.
Dude, I don't have time for your nerdy raps.
Come on, this is Hells of Ill, just listen.
It sounds like you don't even believe me that I was about to get blown up. But I really was, but now I'm in some weird dimension that Spurb sent me to or something. And now on top of that, I think I'm being haunted by my dead grandma.
Huh. For real?
Yeah, it's true, but I'll talk to you later about it.
I think I could just drop some sick rhymes about all this.
Man, see, I just don't think all this rapping stuff is as cool as you think it is.
Nah, this'll be dope, check it.
No, I have to go, bye.
Wait. Armageddon's getting waged on us, but Armageddon armed and dangerous. Sending men in space for saving us. See which players more courageous. Banner Bruce, dudes reach a truce. Put their blow shoots to use and upsuck it. Affleck sacrifice, crifice. I would have to suffice. Aw, fluck it. Bro be a stained glass saint up on a cross getting hella Christ plagiarist. Bruises like hella offa that crucifix. Nuff of this fucking savior fuss. Restrained his ass per McLean Redux while Buscemi remained derangerous. When a plan gone astray, pays off a wasted craterus. Ashtray cratering to layers of Matt McConaughey's vague remainder dust. Wait, McConaughey wasn't even in any of those Meteor movies, was he? I'll have to make a rap about, I don't know, Morgan Freeman or something. Being the president, it'll be called Obama Made It So That No One Gives a Shit About Black Presidents in Movies Anymore. See, you gotta fill me in on what's going on. So I have something to rap about besides all your dumb shit movies.
Enough strange poetry from the red text.
You head out to the balcony to find out what Rose has in mind. She is messaging you again.
The purple text is less irrational than the red text.
I'm lifting up the car to the balcony.
Whoa, okay.
Once it is up, retrieve the game. Then I'll put it back down on the driveway.
But the door is locked.
Then break a window!
But it's my dad's car!
It's just a window, and this sort of thing is an emergency. Otherwise, I promise I'll handle the car with velvet gloves.
Alright.
Ridiculous folly. Inexcusable.